Yo, hey, it's Ronin Man here. Hey, today I want to talk about something that is really alarming, and it's something that a lot of young guys probably have no clue about. I know I didn't. I didn't have any clue about this issue, and it's like I can't believe people don't talk about this. You guys, this is like serious stuff, and this is not anybody's fault. Not blaming anybody here, but as a guy, sex is pretty damn important, right? So let's talk about that. Women and sex after, I would say, I'm going to say after 40 in this podcast, but let's just talk about the reality of women and sex. So when you meet a woman and you think about getting married, what's the age? What's the average age? What do you think? For you, the average age nationwide in the U.S. is for women is like 29, right? It's been going up and up and up. Used to be something like 23, not that long ago, maybe 30 years ago. Now it's like 29, and it's there's a lot of older marriages too. I have plenty of friends who've gotten married in their 30s and 40s, right? Okay, so why do you get married? Why would you get married? What's the reason? What's the reason? Is it save rent? No. The reason why, probably the biggest reason why a guy gets married is because he doesn't want to lose the sexual partner that he's got. So if you've got a sexual partner, she's giving you the good, she's giving you the good bone, right? And you're like, hey, if I put a ring on it, right, she's all mine, right? And in a sense, it's true. But what nobody tells you about is the reality of aging. And I talked about it in another podcast, but in this one, I really want to get into specifics. And I hope, this is like pretty alarming. And even myself, I've gone through it. I've been with a woman who went through menopause. She was older than me, and it was quite interesting to watch. So that's why I got a different perspective. She went through menopause when I was younger, and I got to see what happens and what that means. So let's talk about the stats, right? So women after 40. I'll put an article from the Telegraph, COUK underneath, but it's basically talking to women. It says it's by a sex therapist, female sex therapist, and she says the real reason you've lost your sex drive, right? So she talks about the different aspects of women and sex, right? So here's what she says: most women experience headaches, insomnia, anxiety, loss of libido, which is basically interest in sex, weight loss, hyperthyroid, IBS, or menopausal symptoms after 40. Now, menopause is really serious. If you guys don't know what menopause is, you probably don't know if you're younger. If you don't have a woman who's gone through it, let's talk about that in a little bit. But let's get onto some more facts here. Is almost without exception, every woman in the 40 to 55 year age bracket who comes to see me, this is the sex therapist, underlines, ticks, or circles these things above. Okay? So loss of libido, insomnia, headaches, anxiety, weight loss, hyperthyroid, IBS, and menopause symptoms. We're talking about 40-year-old women here, right? So it's a lot younger than guys think. So when do women experience menopause? What is menopause? Menopause is basically when the woman stops having her period, right? And she can't have babies anymore. It's a very, very traumatic experience for women, especially if you're, these things are not fun to deal with, you guys. It's like, I'm not saying that, again, I'm saying women, I've always said this, women are human beings. They deserve respect, all that stuff. But at the same time, you don't go marry every girl on the street just because, she deserves a guy, right? You can't do it, right? You have to decide, like, what is it that you want for your life and what's the most, smartest thing for you. And if a woman's going through these kind of things, I mean, of course, they're serious, but do you want to live with that? Do you want this to be your life? Well, you look over to the other side of the bed and she's basically miserable, right? Loss of libido, headaches, insomnia. I mean, insomnia is the worst because women with insomnia, they're always roaming around the house and you can't sleep, right? So it's like most guys sleep pretty well. I sleep well, and when women can't sleep, it drives me insane, right? So it's serious stuff, right? And also, of course, they're miserable, right? It's not their fault, right? This is like a biological thing, right? So women experience menopause between 45 and 55 years old, and menopause makes things worse. Common issues known to accompany menopause is vaginal dryness, depression, anxiety, and a huge drop of interest in sex. These are pretty standard results of menopause. And some women, when they get quite a bit older after menopause, that little bit of sexual desire can come back. But it's very common to lose interest in sex after menopause. And so basically, but that's the worst part. But let's go back to the 40, because this is something that's, I think, is more pertinent for most guys. So the average people get married about 30, okay? So 30 years old, you get married. Now, a woman at 40 is in the age bracket where she is going to underline or circle all these problems, okay, at 40. So you're buying this woman at 30, right? It's like she's buying you too, right? She's buying you as a husband, right? And you're buying her as a wife, right? You're making a commitment to her, right? But the thing is when you make that commitment, you're making a commitment to something that isn't going to exist in just a short period of time. Okay, so when you're say 18 years old, right? I remember when I was in senior in high school, and I remember how long a few months would last. I remember the second semester lasted forever. He just went on forever. It was awesome. I was so happy, and it was much easier than before. But I remember the main thing is I remember that at that age, time just goes so slow. You have so much going on. Now, time just flies. Just absolutely flies. I'm 52 now. Time just absolutely flies. So time changes as you get older, right? What is 3 months? What is a summer of surfing? And what is 3 months when you're older is completely different, right? So a woman most guys are a little bit older than the women. So they're going to be, you're going to be like, say, 32, 33. She's going to be 30. You're going to get married. And, so you're already like big time an adult, right? So time moves a lot faster than it would before. 33 to 40 goes pretty quick, right? So once she reaches 40, you basically, you can't blame her. If she feels like terrible, you know what I mean? Like she feels menopausal symptoms, headaches, insomnia, anxiety, dryness of the vaginal dryness, and depression and anxiety. What you can't really stop that. It's a serious thing, right? So you have to let her go through that. But why don't they tell young guys this? Why don't they tell young guys that you're not really getting much sex when you get married? Basically, marriage is kind of the end of sex, really. For most guys, marriage is the end of sex. And this is what hardly anybody tells you this, but one of the old sayings they used to say is if you put a bean in a jar every time you had sex with a woman, with your first, this is like old school saying here, but it's still interesting. It's still useful. Not exactly true anymore. Now it's before marriage, but let's say after marriage. In that case, when they waited sex to marriage, right? Waited for marriage before having sex. So if you put a bean in the jar every time you had sex in the first year, and then you took a bean out every time you had sex in the next 40 years or whatever, you would never empty that jar. That's the traditional thing that men would tell their sons and stuff, right? It's like you're gonna get your sex in the beginning, get it, enjoy it, but basically it's not gonna last, right? But in today's day and age, as a guy, you're still attractive when you're older, right? I still have women very interested in me in their 20s, right? Even younger, right? 18, and all the way up. So what should I do? What is the best thing for me to be living with this woman going through all this stuff, right? I guess the same question would be men have difficulty with jobs. Sometimes you lose jobs and you maybe you run out of money or something, but is a woman required? Is that if a woman knew that you were going to lose your job and you were going to have let's say 10 years of not enough money and misery with your career, would she pick you, right? If she knew that another guy was going to, his career was going to skyrocket the whole time, and then you were going to have 10 years of, basically not making any money and just running around and trying to get things going. would she stay with you? Would she pick you? No, she wouldn't, of course. But that's just a rare thing. That's just like you can't predict that, right? I mean, you can predict people who have problems, but you don't know if you're going to do fine. You're going to do great, make money. You're not going to have a problem. But women, when it comes to sex, this is like standard. Okay. So basically you're going to get sex for 10 years with marriage. That's it. 10 years. That's all you get. Because after that, it's even if you might actually put your penis in the woman's vagina, but I mean, I don't know about you, but you guys, we got to think about what is enjoyment here. Okay. So when a woman is very wet and when she's very excited and she looks at you with these, like, I don't know, like deer in the headlights look, this to me is like the awesomest thing in the world. Like, that is why I live. Like, that's the best feeling for me. When a woman really is looking at me and loves me, and I'm loving her through difficulty and fucking her through things in life. She might have a difficult time with something, and I give her like a really good fuck, and then she feels like she gets over it, right? And it's like that feeling as a guy when you're it's almost like your sex is healing, like that song "Sexual Healing," right? Marvin Gaye. There's a reason why people like that song, right? Because there's a lot of truth to it, and there is some healing with sexuality, and also there's an immense enjoyment when you give somebody sexual healing, when you make them feel better at a deep level, of their life, right? So, but after 40, the woman's not going to be feeling good. Okay, she's not going to be like she was at 20. Okay, so which is fine, totally fine, and she has, of course, that's going to be difficult for her. She's got to deal with that. But I'm just talking to guys here, and also to rational women. I mean, would you, if you were a man as a woman, would you choose somebody? Would you commit to somebody that's only going to have 10 years of sex when you, as a man, you're going to want sex probably your whole life, right? Until you, like, physically are just completely incapable. Like, say you're maybe 85 or 90. A lot of guys can still do it actually then, but let's just say the average guy can't, right? So would you, is this what you want? If you're a woman, would you want your son to be with a woman who wasn't going to fuck him after a certain age? Would you want that? Or would you want your son to be very happy and with, have a great sex life, So I think the thing is that basically it's a huge scam. Marriage is a huge scam because what you're promised is sex. Okay, that's what you're promised. I don't care what anybody says. Sex is what a guy is promised. Every woman fucks a guy. Everybody knows, anybody who's older and watches relationships, sex is used to lure the man into the marriage, right? Because he thinks, I'm going to get this great sex with this woman, right? And if I don't take her, she's going to go and fuck somebody else. And so her, like perfect pussy is going to be, infiltrated by the enemy, right? But the reality is not really like that, because she might go fuck a few more guys, but in reality, after 30, she's on her way down, right? Some women have menopause in their 30s, and so it can be as young as 30s, but 40 to 55 is definitely when, that's when it's all over, right? That's when menopause, loss of interest in sex, low libido, depression sets in for women. And, I don't know, man. I don't know about you guys. I like to date younger women because they tend to be, more lively and more fun. And then they like to fuck. And also wetter pussies. I remember when my girlfriend had menopause and when she was coming up to menopause. And, I remember her pussy was getting, I had been fucking her for a long time. I had a ton of girlfriends, but she was one of the good ones and she was a regular. And I remember how wet she was in the beginning. And then I also remember I met her when she was 35, and then I knew her. I was basically having sex with her till she was close to 50. And I could watch what happened to her over time. She looked very young, by the way. So looks and the pussy are different. And also her chemistry, right? You really have to separate these things because women wear tons of makeup, and actually some women look very young. But that does not affect the body. The body is still the same. The basic evolutionary package we have. You might look very young, but it doesn't mean your dick is going to be as hard as it was when you're 18. It just doesn't work that way, right? You might look great and nobody cares and all that, but physically you're not exactly the same as you are when you're younger. And obviously same with women. So, and women use a lot of makeup and clothes and everything to look younger. So that's another thing that confuses guys, especially younger guys, because they say, well, what's the difference? I like older women because they fuck me and they're great, you know. But what they're not realizing is they're just getting the final hurrah of sex from that woman. The final exciting sex for that woman is like, generally, I think it's 35 to 40. That's the age when evolution tells the woman, this is it. You got one last chance to have a baby. And I've seen this many, many times. Women, they'll be maybe horny when they're very young, and then they'll slowly kind of lose interest in a way. And then when they get to be 35, all of a sudden they're just like, they want to get fucked in the ass. They want to get fucked in, you know, every single way that they never wanted to get fucked before. And it's like, it's you know, we are so much a product of evolution that we don't even like realize it, right? She just suddenly feels horny and she's thinking to herself, why wasn't I like this before? Why wasn't I doing this before? I love this. You know, they might want to fuck you with another guy, or they want to bring one of their girlfriends in, or they might want to go to a bar with you, pick up another girl, and all of a sudden, and so you think as a guy, you think this is what she is. This is what she's going to be. This is her personality. But it ain't her personality. It ain't. It's going to disappear. It's going to go away. It is going to go away, and it's going to be gone. So that's what I want to say to you is the biggest reason why you don't want to get married is that basically you're not getting sex for getting married. It's a big scam. It's a huge scam, and everybody's complicit in this one. Nobody tells the truth. And, you know, like I said, can't blame women. I mean, it's not like they're bad. It's just that this is a physical thing, right? I mean, guys that are 90 can't get it up, right? You can't blame the guy. He's not bad, but he can't get it up anymore. Women that are 40 lose interest in sex, have headaches, all kinds of issues, right? So that's why some people say, you know, like the cat lady is crazy and all that, but actually she's going through a lot of physical problems, right? So if you want to, you know, be nice and friendly to women in their 40s and, you know, you want to, I don't know, carry their groceries and be friendly with them, that's totally fine. But don't mistake them for, you know, some kind of like horny, you know, girl that you're going to just want to have sex with all the time, or, you know, normally. It's such a, I don't know, it's so sad. I wish that women could be like that forever, you know, the way they are when you meet them, you know. And that's the big scam is you think, oh, this is the way she is. This is, you know, she fucked me this way. She told me this. She did this. She came all over my dick. I felt the cream going down my balls. You know, she loved it. But the thing is, that was just at that certain age when her biology was saying, let's have a kid. But once that period is coming to a close, the body says, hey, why do I need sex? It's like that time is period finished, right? There's a new era, right? And but as a guy with today's modern, we're all living longer and longer and longer, and we're also healthier and healthier, and we have money. We want to travel. I mean, when you're 50, you know, you're going to want to trust me on this one. I'm 52. When you're 50, you're going to want to fuck girls. Okay, you're going to want to fuck them. You're going to want to fuck them hard. You're going to want to fuck them good. You want to fuck them in public. You're going to want to do a lot of stuff that you wanted to do when you're younger. Maybe not quite as often, but it's basically the same as far as what you want to do. You're going to want to do stuff, and you're going to be physically capable of doing stuff, right? And the woman is physically capable, but she's not interested, and women run on emotion. So if she's not interested, she's not going to, you know what I mean? And even in the rare case that you have a super, super good woman and she's going to pretend for you, she loves you so much, she's going to pretend like she's all horny. Even then, it's like, you can't pretend this stuff. You know, guys, we're evolved too. We evolved for millions of years. We can recognize, you know, a woman's reaction. And that's why we get so much satisfaction when a woman comes, because we feel this immense happiness when we see that, you know. That's why everybody watches porn and you look at the woman's face all the time. You're not always watching the pussy, you're watching her face. And she's biting her lip and, her eyes and everything. You're watching all that. What that is like that pure enjoyment of sex. But the thing is, once she is not physically feeling it, she can try to fake it all she wants. But, one, most people are not good actors and actresses. And then two, even actors you can see through, right? But you can't see, if somebody's like really, really, really horny, then, it's awesome, right? It's awesome. So I would say that you don't want to get married because of this one issue. This is like a really serious issue. It's such a fucking scam. 30 to 40, that's 10 years. That's it. And if you're, most people have 2 kids, right? So let's say you have 2 kids. Okay, so 30 to 40. So maybe she's going to have her first kid at 31, right? And then maybe her second kid at 34. So that's going to, having the kids is also going to speed up, the vaginal dryness and depression and all that. It's going to happen sooner. If she's single, she can keep her sex drive a little longer, has been my experience. She hasn't had a baby, she's more like a single woman. She's like her pussy's basically more like, younger. But they age a lot when they have a kid. So that's the other thing. If you marry somebody, you can't have sex while they're like having a baby, obviously. So there's 2 years that there's not going to be that much sex going on, even in the 30 to 40 range. So 30 to 40, you have 2 kids, you're going to have 2 years where she's not going to be interested in sex. So, after the baby, she's not interested in sex for quite a long time. And so during pregnancy, she's not feeling good, right? So, and that's all good. It's all fine. I don't recommend what a lot of guys do is they expect, they basically like want the girl to do stuff she doesn't want to do. I think that's not smart. It's better to let the girl be totally what she is. And if it's not what you want, you walk away and you go get another girl, another woman who is what you want, right? So don't be Mr. Forceful. Don't be Mr. Dickhead. Instead, be Mr. Intelligent. If she can't give you what you want, then don't try to get it. Just be cool. Just like, hey, I gotta go get some smokes. Go out and get some smokes, because no guy that I know wants a woman who has headaches, insomnia, anxiety, no libido. She's losing weight. She's got hyperthyroid, vaginal dryness, depression, anxiety. None of this stuff is attractive for guys. Okay, there's no, don't even it's not attractive, right? And so it's a huge scam. So don't fall into it. Don't fall into it. Just realize if you're going to get married, you're probably going to get, let's say 8 years of sex, and that's if she's healthy, good sex, decent sex, and that's it. That's it. And that really is the best case scenario, really. If I know for most Japanese women, after they have a kid, they stop having sex with their husband. That's very, very common. And that's also common in many, many cultures, right? So Japanese women are great girlfriends, but when it comes to after babies, that's a different thing. And also the study I read was that Japanese women after menopause lose interest in sex more than most women, and nobody knows why that is. It's probably, I don't know what the reason is. It might be cultural. But whatever the reason is, and my girlfriend was Japanese, so I knew, I'm telling you from experience too, not just the study I read, but that they do, it must be cultural, where they feel like, after menopause, this is it. It's done. I've done my job. I've done my job as a woman. And she has done her job. But is that what you want? Is that the job you want? I personally would rather have like young women in their 20s come and fuck me and be cool. And that's what I want. I don't need to go through all this stuff. Sex is too important for me to go through all this stuff. And also women don't need it for me. They don't need they don't need me badgering them for sex or anything. You know what I mean? It's not something they need when they're not feeling good. They don't want sex, right? So that's totally fine. But what happens is a woman will not tell you the truth. Sex is a very short period of time. Marriage, you're going to have a lot more sex before she's 30 than after, right? So from, say, I got laid quite young, but until 30, when marriage, you're going to have most of your sex. And there's going to be really not that much sex after marriage, honestly. There's not much sex after marriage. So maybe just there's periods of sex, when she's trying to get pregnant and stuff. And, the older I get, the more cynical I get about that stuff. So if a woman is trying to fuck me or, telling me I'm so hot, I don't know. It just doesn't, I often, these days, I just kind of like, I wonder, okay, what does she want? Okay. She wants to date me. She wants me to marry her. She wants, you know what I mean? It's so obviously back to some thing she wants, right? It's not like she's losing her mind. She's so wet. She's, full body orgasm. Although that does happen once in a while, but it's not the usual, right? Not the usual. So, guys, don't be fooled into it. It's not, marriage is not what you think. It's not what you think. Because the bad part of marriage, your kids can be ripped away from you at any time. Being bored as hell with one woman, which is not what guys want. They want variety. Older woman who doesn't want sex, doesn't feel good, the just spending your money. I mean, all the negative things, those things are very real. Those aren't changing. If anything, those are more important. They're going to be really serious. But the sex part, the fun part, is not going to happen. So there you go. It's a huge scam, and don't fall into it. And also, don't be a dick. Don't try to force women to do what they don't want to do. Allow women to be who they are. I think that's the important thing. I think that's really important. Because what most guys do is they try to force girls to do what they want, and then the girls hate them for it. Whereas, like, you're much better off just saying, hey, I'm not interested in getting married. I mean, don't say it. Of course, you don't need to say it, but just don't get married, and then let some other guy deal with this shit, And then, if she wants to fuck you, it's fine, right? It's like, yeah, she better put on a good show, though, because otherwise you don't really put up with it, right? So it's not so hot. It's not, once a woman's older, it's just not so hot, right? Hot sex is about young women. That's what hot sex is about, Women in their 70s, there's no such thing as hot sex, I mean, you can write all you want, just like people say that plus size women are supposed to be so sexy, but every guy with a brain knows that's not true, right? Fat women look like shit. Nobody wants to fuck them. They look like whales, and nobody wants that, right? So, that's just a fact. And in today's society, we don't say that. We pretend like this isn't true, but obviously it's true. And so that's another problem after marriage. A lot of women gain weight. That's a very serious problem. Very common. I know so many women who they go on these massive diets before getting married, right? But it's like at the end they gain like 10 pounds like right away. I know this woman. She just got married. She's got thunder thighs already. It's so sad. She covered him up when she was dating the guy, my friend. But then after marriage, it was just like it all came out. And what can he say? He can't complain. Fuck, he got her. He put a ring on it. She's his wife. All these words and stupid words that we use, but words aren't enough, right? Man needs food to eat. A man does not live by words alone, right? And a nice wet pussy and a nice moist mouth. That's what guys want. I mean, that's let's face it. That's the important thing. In fact, if a guy doesn't get that, his pipes get all fucked up. You got to clean the pipes out. So if you're not getting sex, you should be jerking off at least once every 2 days, because that's very important for a man's physical health. Otherwise, he gets prostate cancer. So don't mess around with this one, guys. You're more healthy if you have sex more often, and real sex is it's more satisfying than jerking off, because your brain knows the difference. Your brain's like, oh, I'm fucking a girl who wants me, and I'm blowing a huge wad all over her tits. That's different than I'm standing next to a computer jerking off. And of course, nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying that your body is smart. It knows the difference. And being with a depressed girl who doesn't want you, regardless of anything else, is not what guys want. We don't want that. Fuck, if we knew that was going to happen, we would have never gone with them, right? If you dated a woman and she was like 20 and she had no interest in sex, she had vaginal dryness, no libido, she lost weight and was unhealthy, she had menopausal symptoms, headaches, insomnia, anxiety, vaginal dryness, depression, no interest in sex, would you marry her? Well, then if you wouldn't, then why would you marry a girl who's going to become that, right? hello, this is the reality. This is what women become. So I recommend just for this one reason alone. And again, this is very different than other MGTOWs, because other MGTOWs are always saying women are, lying, whatever. It's like women are bad or whatever. It's not true. I'm just talking about the reality of physicality of living in this world, and that's why it's a bad deal for guys. It is a very, very bad deal for guys. So don't let those 10 years or 8 years or 6 years fool you guys. You deserve either freedom or a nice wet pussy. One of those two. Freedom is great. You don't got pussy so much. It's harder to get. You got to go pick it up. It's hard work. Or was it freedom or a nice wet pussy, right? So, but you don't want no freedom and a dry pussy, right? Nobody wants that. No. So, all right. So, thanks for listening here, Ronin Man, talking about the reality of women after 40 and why I don't recommend marriage. All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much, and thanks so much for subscribing and hitting the like button. I've been getting tons of really nice comments. Timmy Kramer left a really nice message. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Really made my day. And so we're not looking for cash for these. I just want if you're listening, if you have any ideas, you want to hear something, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to do another episode. So thanks, guys, and thanks for your enthusiasm. And let's continue on the road. It's men going their own way, man. Hell yeah, Ronin Man, signing off.